We are going to learn another beautiful piece of Zera Shimshon, this week's Parshas Chukot, which will teach us a tremendous yesod about Torah, bringing all the ashpois, toivos to the world, bringing satisfaction of food, soiva, from food to the Welt and all the brachas in the world, and bringing to tremendous achdus. Rabbi said this has to do with this week's Parsha, that the Parsha discusses the inyan of the Be'er, the well of Miriam, and the well is Merames, as it says in all different words of Chazal, the Merames to the inyanim of Torah, to the subject of Torah, and therefore the psukim around the inyan of the Be'er, if you look in the Parsha, you will see that it has to do with Torah. And the Gemara in Kiddushin, Taf Lamed Amud Beis, brings a beautiful pasuk from this week's Parsha. Pasuk tells us in the inyan of the Be'er, Es Vahev Besufa. Now these words, Es Vahev Besufa, you will see how the Gemara darshans it. But first we bring the Gemara. The Gemara begins with a pasuk that it says, Es Oivim B'Sha'ar. There's a situation of enemies in a certain home. Says the Gemara, what is it talking about? Omer Abchia Barabba, Afilu Avu Benoi, Horavet Talmido. You have a father and a son, and a Rebbe and a Talmud who have tremendous kesher of Avu between each other. Sha'oiskim B'Torah B'Sharecha, they're learning in some place. Nasim Oivim Ze. They become like enemies when they're fighting and learning. It's mamish mayridik enemies. The Einam Zazim Misham, but they do not leave. That's what it means. It's Oivim Bashar. That Shar of Torah, there are Oivim. The Einam Zazim Misham, and they don't leave there. Achanatzim Oihavim Zeh, till they become lovers one to another. And that you have the remez of this pasuk. Shenemar Es Vahev, has in it the word Ohev, which is Ahava. Besufa, I'll take you Besufa Besaifa, meaning at the end of the learning, there is Ahava that comes about. So we're going to see why is it that way, and we're going to see how the Al-Shech HaKadosh explains, and afterwards we'll see how the Zera Shimshon explains the same inyan. The Al-Shech HaKadosh is in a sefer on Shiurim Shoshanas HaMokim, the beginning of Perek Ches, on the words Mi Yitencha Ke'ochli. He brings a tremendous, beautiful thought. The pasuk tells us about this inyan of Torah bringing to Ava, like we heard just now. Es Voev Besufar is a pasuk. V'chol banayich limudei Hashem v'rav shaloim banayich. That through learning Torah from the Rabbeinu Shalom, we become to a matzav of peace, of shalom. Also, the pasuk says, Hashem oiz la'amo yitein, Hashem yivarech es amoy bashalom. You have Torah, which is oiz, ein oiz al Torah, and you'll have bracha of shalom. And Chazal learned from that also, Talmidei Chachamim marbim shalom ba'olam. Says the Al-Shech HaKadosh, I'll explain to you why. Explains what does it mean to be limudei Hashem. You're learning from the Rabbeinu Shalom. There's a darga when you're learning mamish from the Rabbeinu Shalom. And he says if you learn from the Rabbeinu Shalom mamish, tivkavanu, but it's also for every learning. Tivkavanu chibas v'cheshek terasa yizbarach. It will drive into us the love and the desire to the Torah of Hashem Yisbarach, Shura ben Afshesenu, tied in our souls. Through the kisses of His words of His mouth to us. And that's going to connect us tremendously to the Torah. And then V'rav Shalom Banoich, V'hu Kenoida, and it's like what is known, and it's Api Kabbalah. Kabbalah teaches us, Ki al Yedei Shenefoshes Yisrael Yeshlem Yachas V'Kesher Im HaTorah. The Metzias is that the Nefoshes, the Neshamis of Klal Yisrael, have a connection with Torah. Like the Zohar says that the Kutsha B'Richu, the Rabbeinu Shalom, the Oraisa, the Torah, and Yisrael is one. And it says also that there's 600,000 Oisias LaTorah. There's also 600,000 Dikr Neshamis of Klal Yisrael. The word Yisrael is the Rashi Tevis Yeshishim Ribi Oisis LaTorah. And this tells us in Nefoshes Yisrael a tremendous kesher with the Torah. So the Al-Shech HaKadosh so comes out that the Torah, which is a Hashem Echad, is me'ached also the Nefoshes together, because it's Torah and Nefesh Yisrael are one, and it's all one big oneness. And especially if it's lishma, and even more so, the words coming out of his mouth will connect us a tremendous, strong kesher of powerful kedusha, and that's what's going to do. Their souls become connected one to another, and they become unified with an achdus v'kesher nimrotz, with a tremendous, strong kesher, and through that they live with shalom. Their shalom is becoming more, and then it becomes shalom aden kates. This is a beautiful thought that the Alshich writes in the middle of a whole long arichos, but that's what he says pshat in this sugya. And the Zera Shimshon in Ois Yud Gimel says a different word entirely. It's a beautiful word the Zera Shimshon says. He bases himself on the Gemara that says in the Gemara that tells us in Beyadaf Chofhei Omid Beis, tells us that Klal Yisrael have a tremendous teva of azus, a certain brazenness, and Rashi says that they don't let other people win over them. Their whole time to be fighting. They want to be one above the other. That's a teva. It's a certain nature of azus. So we spoke about it in previous shiurim. And Rabbi Isai, what did Hashem do because of that? Because of the teva of azus in Klal Yisrael, says Torah was given to Klal Yisrael. And Rashi says that the Torah will be matish, will weaken that azus. Now, if we have a matzav of weakening azus, so automatically you will have a matzav of shalom, because what this brazenness and this chutzpah of koshim lenatseach, it brings to merivas, the fights and pirud, and everybody being separatism, one from another. And this other way, it will turn out to be that they'll all be unified. Now, it explains that the beginning of the Gemara very beautifully, that Lamaise, when you begin to learn, you're using your koyach of azus with the koyach of pilpul and svara and machloikes and thinking the depths and fighting out if this svara is true, if this cheshbon is true, if that's the pshat in the Helikat Torah or not. And he says, you need to have this fighting. The pilpul is very important. And it brings the Gemara in Bava Metzia, Pedal Aleph, that Rabbi Yochanan spoke about his Chavrusa Rish Lakish, that it's gewaldig when I have a Chavrusa Rish Lakish, because everything I say, he has 24 questions and proofs against. And that brings the truth of the Torah to become revealed. It's gewaldig. So we need to have that. So that's what it says in the Pasuk Hashem Oiz La'amoyit. In beginning, we begin with Oiz, with a tremendous azus, with pilpul and svar and fighting. However, it's not going to make remaining with machloikes, because it's going to be matish to azus, and it's going to be Hashem Yevorech es amoy basholom, and then they turn into becoming unified, and all the azus that was used up by the machloikes in understanding the Torah, and now they're going to live in peace, and they're going to have tremendous achdus between them. So that explains a beautiful beer in how es vohev besufa, how the Torah being matish to azus brings to vohev, to ahava. But we're going to finish with the other pshat of the Zera Shimshon, who says a remez in the words ava b'saifa. It's not to do with the Indian that we just mentioned now, a different tach. And he explains it according to a Gemara in Psachim. There's a Gemara in Psachim that says, in Samachesam at base, that when a person begins to learn, he thinks about himself. I'm going to be elevated. I'm going to have good. And the end he learns the schus for the whole world. And why is the Torah schus for the whole world? Is a pasuk. Pasuk tells us, "Im loy berisi yom v'layla," not from my covenant, yom v'layla, which is the Torah. Chukot shamayim v'aretz leisamti. I would not have created shamayim v'aretz. So now Zera Shimshon gives a very beautiful beer. Why is it like that? So he says in the because there's a medrash that explains the creation of Chukot shamayim v'aretz, and it says these words. Apiryoin medrash bar midra rabba yud beis dalet. Apiryoin osale amelech shloimoi. He says, what does it mean? Apiryoin is the world. is called Apirion because it's created for Priya V'Revia, for increasing Avdei Hashem through giving birth. And also Melech is the Rabbeinu Shleilam. But it can only exist and only can be coming to its proper tachlis if it's Shloimai, Sheyiyah Shalom ben Abrias. We must have peace between the Brias. And that's what he brings the pasuk. Now, when will we have peace between the Brias? When there is satisfaction in the world, when we have a lot of food and we're satisfied with the food, like Rashi brings in Parshas Miketz, Bereshis Mem Aleph Daled, that when there's Yemei Soiva, the Brias are nearest Yafazulazu, they look very nice to one to another, they are very smiling one to another, and no one is jealous of the other one because everyone has bounty and it's so Gevaldik. What Rabbi says is Mashpia the Gevaldik Soiva, that is the Torah and Mitzvahs, Iker Torah, like it says in Bechukosai Teleichu, which is Amel B'Torah v'Netzatik Yishmeicha B'Yitam Yalav Gevaldik Yashpoyes. So Mela says the Shimshon Gevaldik in Loi Brisi I'm Valayla, not for Torah, which would give the bracha of Soiva, which therefore brings to Shalom, Chukah Shamayim V'Oretz something, because without Shalom there's no Bria. Sheish Baruch will not make a creation of the world without having the Shalom in the Welt. So it comes out of Gevaldik Avir in the pasuk, and it explains us also Hashem Oiz Lamo Yitein, that through the Torah comes bracha, and through that Hashem Yivarach Es Amoi Bashalom, and then you're going to get to Shalom because bracha brings to Shalom, and that explains the Chol Banayich Limud Hashem V'Rav Shalom Banayich, and that explains Es Vohe Besufa. But it explains also B'derech Hadrash. Es Vohe, what brings to the Ava? Besufa. Besufa means in the Inyan that you think about when you're at the end of learning. Meaning at the beginning you're thinking about yourself. At the end you're learning meaning to bring Soiva to the world, which is the whole word of bringing Soiva, which brings Shalom, which brings Achdus, and brings the Tachlis Habriya. So that is the Soifa of the Kavana of your intention. There is the Nekuda, the point of Ava, because that Soifa has to do with what is bringing a matzav of love between the Brias, which is that the Torah is Mashpia Soiva, which therefore brings the Shalom and Avat between the Brias. So Rabbi Isai, we learned a tremendous message what Torah does, and Torah brings us tremendous Shefa, Bracha V'Atzlacha, and Torah brings tremendous Afdas and Shalom, like we heard all the different reasons, and especially because it makes you less Azus, and therefore there's a Shalom, and Torah is Ma'ached, like we learned from the Al-Shech HaKadosh. So tremendous Afdas there'll be, and Afdas alone is already a Sibah to hold the bracha, like we Chazal say, L'motza HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kli Machzik Bracha L'Yisrael Ela Shalom. We are now in Chodesh Tammuz, where there was the Churban of Bayis Sheni, which we may be in Amtsarim, which have to do with the Churban Bayis Sheni, which was a Sinas Chinam, and we have to learn Torah and bring tremendous Aftas to the Welt, should be Tamid Chacham Shalom Ba'ilam, and this way they'll bring not only Shalom, peace between the Brias, but it will also bring Shleimus to the world, and peace to the entire world, and Bracha to the entire world, and it will bring Mitzvah Hashem to the Shalom Allah Sid Lavai, to the Gula Shleima, with all the Shleimus that is going to be then, Bimheira, B'Yameinu, Amen, V'chein, Yehi, Ratzain. A good Shabbos to everyone. Be all blessed.